Jean-Claude Van Damme, once the dazzling face of action cinema, the muscles from Brussels, was more than a Hollywood fighter. He was a symbol of grit, grace, and sheer willpower. His kicks were poetry in motion, his splits defied human limits, and his eyes carried the fire of a man chasing destiny. But behind the power and fame was a soul scarred by heartbreak, addiction, and regret. 5 failed marriages, lost children, and endless battles with inner demons revealed the fragile man behind the myth. At 63, Van Damme still fights, but not for fame or glory. He fights for peace within himself. A fragile beginning in Brussels. This paragraph introduces Jean-Claude Van Damme's humble beginnings in Brussels, painting a portrait of a shy, delicate boy who would later become one of cinema's toughest icons. His father's discipline and his mother's creativity shaped both sides of his character, structured yet sensitive. The bullying he endured for his frailty and glasses instilled in him a fierce resolve to change. That moment at age 11, when he stood before the mirror and vowed to transform, marked the birth of his inner warrior. Karate became his salvation, a discipline that taught him focus, humility, and self-respect under Master Claude Dux. More than a sport, it became a philosophy that allowed him to channel pain into purpose. This stage of his life is essential to understanding Van Damme's lifelong quest for self-mastery and his belief that greatness is not inherited, but earned through perseverance, discipline, and the courage to overcome humiliation. From ballet to bodybuilding. The making of a warrior. Here, Van Damme's evolution continues as he merges grace with power. While karate honed his fighting skill, ballet refined his control and rhythm, teaching him elegance and endurance that later defined his on-screen style. His famous flexibility and cinematic precision were born here, not in the gym, but in the dance studio. Ballet demanded patience, humility, and incredible strength. When he said, "If you can survive ballet, you can survive anything," it reflected his understanding that true mastery blends strength with artistry. Bodybuilding then completed his transformation, symbolizing his victory over weakness and insecurity. Winning Mr. Belgium wasn't vanity, it was redemption. Yet beneath the success lay the same dreamer who once prayed to become a movie star and a force for good. This paragraph captures the duality that would define Van Damme's life: beauty and brutality, control and chaos, and foreshadows both his glory and emotional fragility. The dreamer arrives in America. This paragraph depicts Van Damme's leap from dream to struggle. A young man chasing Hollywood stardom with little more than faith. Leaving Belgium with $3,000, he faced the brutal reality of rejection and poverty. His accent, looks, and European charm, once assets, became obstacles in an industry that dismissed him. Homeless and starving, he worked menial jobs and often slept in cars. Yet, even amid hardship, he trained daily and thanked God for a success he couldn't yet see. A remarkable show of faith and visualization. His gratitude during deprivation revealed his belief that destiny responds to persistence. Every rejection, every sleepless night, forged resilience. This phase became the emotional furnace that tempered his ego and taught him humility. The crucible of suffering, as this paragraph implies, was not punishment, but preparation, transforming a desperate immigrant into the determined underdog who would later conquer Hollywood screens. The Bloodsport breakthrough. This section marks the long-awaited turning point. After years of struggle and minor roles, Bloodsport, 1988, became Van Damme's breakout film, the miracle his perseverance had earned. Playing Frank Dux, a martial artist defying odd, mirrored his real journey. Made on a tiny budget, the film became a global success and introduced audiences to his electrifying moves and emotional intensity. His tears upon seeing Bloodsport succeed reveal how deeply personal the victory was. The bullied boy from Brussels had finally proven himself. Yet, the line, it carried hidden costs, foreshadows the burden of fame awaiting him, the exhaustion, pressure, and identity loss that would follow. Bloodsport was more than a movie. It was the symbolic fulfillment of a childhood prayer, the moment where pain met purpose. But as often happens, the triumph that crowns a hero also begins to test his soul, setting the stage for Van Damme's internal battles. The rise and the shadow of fame. This paragraph explores the paradox of success, how the very dream that liberated Van Damme became his new prison. Following Bloodsport, his stardom soared through hits like Kickboxer, Double Impact, and Time Cop. Audiences saw a perfect, invincible hero, but behind the camera, fatigue and loneliness consumed him. Hollywood demanded constant output, stripping him of rest and family life. His confession, "I couldn't see my family," reveals the emotional erosion fame inflicted. The applause that once inspired him turned hollow. This phase symbolizes the cost of ambition, the moment where human connection fades beneath the weight of global adoration. The once humble dreamer had become a brand, trapped in the cycle of production and promotion. The merciless master of fame highlights the tragedy of chasing perfection. When your identity depends on applause, silence becomes unbearable. Thus began Van Damme's slow descent from celebrated champion to spiritually exhausted man. The broken marriages and the price of success. Here, the narrative turns deeply personal, exposing how Van Damme's public triumph masked private chaos. His serial marriages reflected a man searching for stability, but trapped in emotional turbulence. Each relationship, from Maria Rodriguez to Cynthia Derderian and bodybuilder Gladys Portugues, revealed his struggle to balance love with ambition. With Gladys, he found brief domestic peace, raising Christopher and Bianca, but infidelity and fame shattered it. His union with Darcy Lapierre reignited hope, yet repeated patterns of betrayal and rumors, including one involving Kylie Minogue, destroyed that too. By 1997, his life was a trail of broken promises. This paragraph exposes the painful irony. A man celebrated for discipline in martial arts could not control the chaos of his heart. His marriages became casualties of a career that demanded total devotion, showing how unchecked ambition can erode even the deepest human bonds. Addiction, and the fall from grace. At the height of his fame, Van Damme's struggle with cocaine addiction symbolized the collapse of control. What began as an escape from pressure became an all-consuming dependency. 10 grams a day was not indulgence, but self-destruction. His addiction blurred the line between discipline and despair. The once focused athlete now missed shoots, lashed out, and drifted through chaos. On the set of Street Fighter, his erratic behavior revealed a man unraveling before the world. This fall from grace wasn't just professional, it was existential. Fame had magnified his weaknesses, turning confidence into arrogance and strength into self-punishment. The addiction was his attempt to silence pain, the loneliness, guilt, and pressure he had buried for years. Ultimately, this paragraph represents the death of the movie hero and the exposure of the flawed human underneath, stripped of glamour and left to confront his own fragility, redemption, and reflection. This paragraph captures Van Damme's journey toward healing and self-understanding. Diagnosed with bipolar disorder, he began addressing the emotional turmoil that had long driven his destructive habits. Therapy, medication, and self-reflection guided his slow recovery. More importantly, he rebuilt bonds with his children and embraced humility. Speaking openly about his struggles allowed fans to see not a superstar, but a survivor. "The real fight was in my mind," he said, acknowledging that his greatest enemy was never another fighter, but his inner chaos. Though Hollywood had moved on, his legacy endured as a cult icon. His films, once seen as simple action flicks, became metaphors for resilience. This stage of his life symbolizes the rebirth of self-awareness, a reminder that true strength lies not in power or perfection, but in honesty, acceptance, and the willingness to rise again after falling. The eternal fighter. In this final paragraph, Van Damme emerges as a man at peace. Older, wiser, and no longer enslaved by fame. He lives quietly, guided by reflection rather than ambition. The scars on his body serve as chronicles of survival, each marking a lesson learned. He no longer seeks applause. Instead, he strives for harmony and spiritual balance. The boy who prayed for stardom has matured into a man who understands that real victory is inner peace. His story becomes universal. A tale of resilience, redemption, and self-forgiveness. By acknowledging his failures, Van Damme transformed them into fuel for growth. The closing line, "His greatest fight was never against an enemy, it was against himself," perfectly captures his evolution, portrays him not as a fallen star, but as a human being who fought his demons and finally won, not through violence or glory, but through grace and acceptance.